So a few weeks ago, someone posted the fact that Challenger has the highest surrender rate of all ELOs, which, you might be surprised by because you expect that they're doing everything they can to win games. And so there's the explanation that Challenger players are better at winning with the gold lead. But the thing is, you could just easily say that Challenger players are better at coming back from a gold deficit, and without, evidence or an argument that's just as compelling. And so, I have my own personal views, but here's the numbers first. And so, first of all, something sort of related. At first, I just randomly sampling games, and there were like no high elo games to compare to. So, like, oh yeah, right. There's a way, just like a way smaller population of players playing games at that level. And so I went to check the sample size, and you can see how silver has the most, and master and challenger is a relatively tiny, actually, portion of the player base, which is interesting to put into perspective because maybe we put a disproportionate amount of attention on like a fraction of the player base. And also something else that's interesting is there's a more or less smooth curve, but at some points, like for silver 5, they're higher than they should be, and I think that's because this is using the players' league points, so like they're more concentrated in the fifth division of each league. So like the most common league is silver 5, even though the most common elo is probably like mid-silver matchmaking rating. Um, but anyways, I had to specifically look at master and challenger games, players' games, and after a while of that, like the sample looked like this, so it's more balanced. And okay, so the question was, are comebacks like rarer in higher or lower elo? And so one thing to look at is how many times the gold lead changes hands. And I figured it would be good to start looking after 5 minutes because it might go back and forth early with like one team's up 50 gold, then the other jungler kills Gromp and now their team's ahead or something. So like just to avoid that, it starts after like 5 minutes in. So like if one team's ahead at 5 minutes and then behind at 20 minutes and then ahead again at 21 minutes and then the game ends like that, the lead would be thrown twice. And when the games are grouped by divisions, this is what it looks like. And so it looks like as people get better, they throw less. But then for some reason, once it gets to Master and Challenger, the lead starts going back and forth more, which is weird. But also going back to what this was about, which was how early games are over, it could be good to just look at one game's end and like how long they take. And looking at that by division, games do get faster at higher elos. So I think this does show that at higher elos, games might be more intense or something, like they might be a lot closer, but as soon as one team gets a lead, they're much more able to just run away with it and close the game out quickly. And so those are the numbers. At higher elos, they finish faster. And I have an explanation for why that is. I think in lower elos games, like it doesn't feel like things happen for a reason. Like if one challenger player kills another challenger player, there's like a reason for it. Like they had vision control on Baron, so like they forced a face check, or their winning lane helped invade the enemy jungle or something like that. But in lower elos, a lot of the times it feels like things just happen randomly. Like there are just so many mistakes flying around that there isn't as much of like a logical progression from a setup of a situation to what its outcome should be. But at higher elos, where people play more correctly, you can give one team an advantage in a situation and they will more reliably come out on top. And that explains why you would surrender, in Challenger. Like, it's okay, this game is over, and I respect their Challenger like ability to properly close it out. But I admit it really doesn't explain why the gold lead actually swings back and forth more often in Master and Challenger, which I honestly still don't get why that is.